friends. This is the opening lecture for the course Process Dynamics and Control. So the first word of the course is process. Until or unless you understand what is process, it may not be very easy to understand what is process dynamics. And finally, as an instrumentation and control engineer, the final word is control. So that will be also equally difficult. So we have to focus with, you have to understand what exactly is process. When we say process, here we primarily mean a kind of some chemical process which you might be incurring in manufacturing of any substance. Maybe it's a cement, or maybe it's paper, or maybe it's a fertilizer, or even if it's production of electricity through thermal plants. So all this involves the word process. So we will be studying this term process word by word, the definition of process, try to comprehend the significance of each word. Maybe this is going to take some time because we have to acquaint ourselves with this new word process which we'll be dealing with for the coming perhaps 2 semesters more in this course as well as in another course which you call it as advanced process control. So this word, this definition of process should be very clear to you. So let's see how it is defined. If you go by what's the textbook definition of process, it is given by a chemical plant, or the process as we call it, the chemical plant is an arrangement of different processing units. After all, it's a process, chemical plant. So it has to be made up of different processing units. And these units can be reactors, heat exchangers, pumps, distillation columns, absorbers, evaporators, tanks, and then the word is etc. It means many more like these. So we have to have some understanding of what is a reactor, what is a heat exchanger, what is pump, what is distillation column, what is absorber, what is evaporator, what is tank. Of course you might be knowing what is tank. But then in order to make a chemical plant out of this, that is to complete this process as we have to call it, then these processing units, they must be integrated with one another. They have to be linked. They can be linked in a sequential manner, they can be linked in parallel, or they can be linked in a combination of the two. But this linking should be systematic, it should not be random. And the most important word is in a rational manner. There has to be some logic, there has to be some you can say objective. You have to go in, there has to be some input, there has to be some output. In between whatsoever is there in the process, it has to be very well defined. So once you see the two key elements are in a systematic and rational manner, it cannot be chaotic, it cannot be without any objective, it cannot be without any logic. It has to be rational, it has to be systematic. And that entire combination of these different processing units will make one chemical process, or we may call it as one chemical plant. So ultimately we have to go in for the study of dynamics, we will describe later, and control we will describe still later. But this is the textbook definition of process. But then before we go ahead and say okay, now you know what is process, you need to know a little bit of, very little bit of, what is reactor, what is heat exchanger, pumps, distillation column, absorber, evaporator, tank, etc. So all these should be known, a very, you can say, a glimpse of all these things. We start with the first one. As you see, you might have seen in reality, but now you can see in the picture, is a tank like thing. You have some pumps connected and pipes connected and so many things. This entire thing is normally what you look at is a reactor. When you say it's a reactor, it means A plus B making C plus D. Some chemical reaction is going on. There's some feed pumps are there. There may be a stirrer inside, and if in case there is a stirrer, it's a continuously stirred tank reactor, or what we call it as CSTR. So this is what you see is the schematic diagram, and here you see this is the motor over here attached over here. You can see something over here like this, and then this motor is churning the material inside. You cannot have a look of what is happening inside here, but this is a nice way to represent. And something is going in, we call it as feed, and something is going out, we call it as the mixed product, which is coming out over here. And then you have a jacket, and this jacket can be for the cooling, or this jacket can be for the heating, depending upon whatsoever is the requirement of the process. And you have some baffles over here because you want to create churning, so cannot be just a smoothing like this. You have to have some baffles over here, and this stirrer is also sometimes called agitator. So if you try to look at the parallels over here, then you will find that okay, you have something over here, some jackets is there, something is over here. So if you cannot even visualize what exactly is, you have to see some, temperature sensors are there and flow meters are there. But then we will be studying all these in detail later, because it's a very exciting subject for all instrumentation and control engineers, and especially exciting for me because I have worked with the process plant in the chemical industry, still in touch. Not only touch, I'm still a consultant and working with the chemical process industries for last so many years, that all I have a very developed a kind of insight which I'll be sharing with practical situations which I have personally encountered, and will be sharing my experiences, my life experiences with you. So this is in very short the first term we have covered over here, reactor. Similarly, we are going to go for the next terms. Friends, what you can see over here is a big shell, and then you have large number of tubes in the upper half, large number of tubes in the lower half. Then you have a big tube over here, and similarly you may have another big tube down over there. And this, as you look at it, you'll not understand what it is, but I may tell you, this is a heat exchanger, because you want to transfer heat from one fluid to another fluid. You want to cool it or you want to heat it, as the case may be. This is heat exchanger. This is one type of heat exchanger. You have thousands and thousands of types of heat exchangers, and on each heat exchanger you can have hundreds and hundreds of PhDs. That's the amount of knowledge which is required or has been created and is continuously being improved in case of heat exchangers. Let us see how these heat exchangers work. Friends, as you can see, this is a kind of heat exchanger where you have this entire shell. So something is going in the shell, as we had seen over there. It is moving up and down, and it is coming out from here. So why it is moving up and down? Because you have baffles over here. You have a baffle. Otherwise it will simply come in from here and go over here. These baffles are put deliberately in a manner that makes the flow of this fluid move from here. Let it go down, let it come up and come down again and move out from here. And these tubes, as you were seeing in the previous slide, they are all connected, and ultimately, as you had seen, you had some tubes in the lower half, some tubes in the upper half. So in this case, this is called the tube side. Another fluid, it moves from here and it comes from here, then it takes a U-turn from here, and then it comes up and comes up and comes out from here. So there's a good amount of interaction in terms of energy is transferred from this part to this inner part, this blue part to this green part. In all these places, plenty and plenty of surface area is here, and that's where the heat is exchanged without transfer of, without mixing of the fluids. So this is what in simple terms is called heat exchanger. Pump, I think you all must have used pumps in your labs, in your homes, and everywhere, even in your small cars, everything. You have a pump over there, and that pump is primarily to push the fluid with the pressure. And in this particular case, it's a centrifugal pump, and as you can see here, you have a suction, and then in the whole fluid goes in, and then you have an impeller which moves, and this impeller is moving in a way that it's creating some centrifugal force, and ultimately its pressure is developed, and you have a discharge coming over here. So it's similar thing you can see is that the inlet is coming over here and the discharge is coming over here. So it's exactly the same, and this pump is connected invariably with the motor, and this motor is electrical part, of course. It's connected with the pump. We have not shown the motor in this figure, but it's understood that something has to move it. So this in short is a pump. Now coming to the next part is distillation column. uh, Refineries, they have distillation columns. These are these big cylindrical things with number of pipes connected to it, and what we do is we give in the feed and we get some components out of it. You may get 10 components or 15 components, depending upon the design of the distillation column. But in order to understand, we will just split the feed into two parts, and so it is called binary distillation column. So this is what you see is a kind of binary distillation column. What goes in is called feed, and then some part of it gets evaporated, it moves up, and then it's condensated over, it's getting condensed, and then the top product is coming from here. And similarly the bottom ones, the heavier ones, they are collected over here. So ultimately this feed is getting split into the top product and the bottom product. It's divided into two parts through distillation, so we call it as binary distillation. But it's not necessary that it has to be divided into two parts. It can be divided into 5 parts, 10 parts, 20 parts, depending upon the design of the distillation column and depending upon the requirement. So this is what exactly is distillation column. So friends, this is evaporator, and as you can see, what is happening in evaporator is that something is going in. This is the main thing which is going in. Let us say it's a milk, and this milk is coming up from here. It's getting stirred over here, and you have a steam which is passed in from here. It's getting into it. Sometimes it's called DSI, or direct steam injection, and this entire thing is in a kind of a partial vacuum. So as this steam heats up the milk and there's a partial vacuum, so a lot of evaporation takes place and a lot of moisture from the milk, it goes into the next stage over here, and there the dry vapor comes out from here, and the milk, because it has been now condensed, as the moisture from the milk has been removed, so this condensed milk, it goes down in the form. It can be passed on to the next stage as to be spray dried into milk powder. So this is not only true for powder, it's not only true for the milk powder, any kind of chemical which needs to be condensed it before it is spray dried or concentrated. So this is the entire process which is called, this processing unit is called evaporator. So this evaporator has number of things in it. You have the outer shell called calandria, then in the tubes over here you may have, something going in and something coming out. So I will not go into the details of this evaporator, but in general the evaporator, as you see, is that whatsoever goes in, the water part is, or some liquid part is evaporated, and the remaining part is getting concentrated, and it moves on to the next stage. So this is what exactly is evaporator. Coming to another processing unit which is called absorber. So what is happening in absorber is that some portion of the gas is going in the absorber. This gas may be having some contaminants. These contaminants need to be removed. So these contaminants, this contaminated gas containing the contaminants, it's moving up and up and up, and you have some absorbent which is chemically designed or chosen to interact with, to react with, to absorb the contaminants from the gas. And this portion, the absorbent, it moves from this tray, it falls over here, and it moves over here, it falls over here, and so on. So as it is moving and falling and moving and falling, this absorbent is absorbing the contaminants from the gas over here, and the purified gas, it comes out from here. So this is how absorber works. And if you want to have a look at how this absorber actually looks from the outside, then you can have a look from here. Here it is. That's how it looks. What is tank? I think I need not explain what is tank. So all must have seen number of tanks. Coming to the second part, the second part is that the plant's overall objective. The plant's overall objective is to convert certain raw materials, what you call it as input, into desired products using the available sources of energy in most economical way. We will discuss on what is the meaning of most economical way. We will discuss what are the various sources of energy. We will also discuss how this conversion takes place, but all this will be discussed in the coming lectures, not today, because we will give you a small break and we see the process flow diagram. As we have the process flow diagram, you can see over here the number of things. You can see you have some distillation column is also here, some cooling tower is here, some pumps are there, vacuum pumps are there, tanks are there, there's the boiler connected over here, and you have feed tank and furnace, and lot of things. Even you have heat exchangers. So all those things which we studied, even the reactor is here. So all these things are connected in a systematic and rational manner, in a systematic and rational manner. So something goes in and something comes out and it's collected. So it's converted to the desired type of you see this is a feed tank. Feed means if something is going in and it's getting heated and it's going to the distillation column. So all these things ultimately, the output is through reactors and all. It's you have something is getting collected in tank 1 and something is getting collected in tank 2. So we are using some energy, and this entire is the process flow diagram. So this is what you understand for the plant. This is the process. This is the main word is process, which you have to understand. So that's what you have tried to convey in these 15 minutes or so. Hope you have understood or you have developed some insight or some you have been able to visualize what exactly is process. Friends, in case you have any queries, you can interact with me. You have number of ways. This is one way, through videos, through Zoom sessions, through WhatsApp, through learning management system, as you call it, as LMS, and maybe through face-to-face interaction, if at all it's possible, depending upon the conditions. So you can ask me the things, you can share your queries, you can share your thoughts. We can have it on number of platforms. You can even phone me and call me if required. So I hope you have enjoyed this lecture, and it's the opening one to get you an idea of what exactly a process is. And so here we go. For any kind of sharing as such, I thank you for being with me. uh, Stay safe and enjoy learning. Bye bye.